one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I know you talked about the spreadsheets earlier, and the whole idea about the Title 4B for E for CPS, 4D for child support issues. Can you address that as if I'm a dummy?
Sure.
Explain the whole process to me, because I think that even a lot of our legislators don't know about it. I'm not accusing any legislator of being dummy, but I'm just saying for me, because I hear things and I'm like, okay, and I've looked it up, but I don't know the mechanisms. But I think you have to a lot further degree than I have by far. So if you could explain it to me, I think it would be helpful to everybody.
Yeah, and this is important for people to understand, not only just so that they can wrap their head around what's going on, but people are got to get involved with their state legislators, and even the state legislators do not understand the functioning of this system. The federal just barely do. Okay, so what we have in under Child Protective Services and under child welfare is you have a federal funding scheme that is incentivizing taking children, rehoming them, adopting them out to strangers, and
let's remember, let's keep it straight. Kidnapping first.
Yeah, kidnapping children.
And I'm sorry, I mean these nice politically correct, and I know that
rehoming,
rehoming,
yes. Social engineering, basically is what it is. So they function primarily under Title 4E and Title 4B. Now that's the Social Security Act, Title 4E, Title 4B.
So my Social Security funds are being...
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
The Social Security trust money, so you have the Social Security Act that has all this entitlement money and stuff that goes through it. It's really hard. I don't care how good you are on Google, because trust me, I've tried it a jillion ways to really find out where the source of the funding is flowing from. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that part of it right now.
I got you. Okay.
We just want to talk about what it does to our families.
Okay.
So Title 4E is the foster care money. Title 4E has some characteristics to it which are very important. One of them is it is a use it or lose it scheme. So if the state does not use that money, then they're going to lose it the next year. Okay? Second is it's a dollar for dollar match. Okay? The reason that's important is so if the state gets $300 million from the federal government, they got to come up with $300 million. So if for any reason the state legislators, I don't know why I always struggle with that word, the state legislators who are the budget people, if they want to turn to your child welfare agency and say, we need to cut back and some expenses. For every dollar in the state budget, they have to cut $2 out of their budget. Okay, so if the state legislators would ever say we need to cut $100,000 out of your budget, to them that translates into $200,000. So that's why they fight. They never are audited. They never give up money. But they always want more money because we've got to save children. They always want more money. So it is use it or lose it. It is dollar for dollar. It is also never subject to sequester. What that means is it doesn't matter how many times you shut the government down, they're still going to get their money.
Wow.
Okay, now, that money is about, from the federal government, Title 4E, is right at about $9 billion a year, right? $9 billion.
And that's for all of the states?
Yes.
Okay.
So you got to double that because every state has to match it. So that's $18 billion a year, and that is the foster care funds.
Okay.
And the adoption bonus money.
So the adoption bonus money
is within Title 4E as well.
Okay.
So ASPA is the 1997 Act, Adoption and Safe Families Act, 1997, and it started as a good idea. And the reason it started...
As do so many things. It's a great idea.
So what had happened is right prior to that, about the 10 or 15 years prior to that, most of the foster care was all state run. There was no privatization. Most of it was privately run. We didn't have computers. Everything was on Rolodex cards, right, and manila file folders.
Right.
So they really just lost kids in the system.
Yeah.
I mean, kids would be in foster care at 8,
more than what they do right now.
Yeah, yeah. They wouldn't even know where they were.
Yeah.
Now at least they know where they are. They
Yeah.
just don't keep track of how well they're doing. But
Yeah.
they would lose kids. So ASFA was intended to move kids through the system. So they're like some great, bright people in Congress is like, well, if we give the states a bonus check when they adopt the kid out, now they're going to work really hard to get the kid out of foster care and get them adopted out. So they gave them a bonus check, which means they put a price tag on every kid's head. And then they also, the adoption entitlement money, which actually had started a little bit earlier than that, but it made that stronger so that even after you adopt the child, you continue to get a stipend for them. All that's Title IV-E money.
Okay.
All of that adoption entitlement money now has exceeded actual foster care money. It's huge, right? So then you have Title IV-B.
Okay.
Title IV-B is the family preservation money. This is so important to understand the difference. Title IV-B is limited. Title IV-B is 1/10 of the amount of Title IV-E. So you've got Title IV-E at about $9 billion. Title IV-E. Title IV-B is at about $9.7 billion. Okay, so that's the difference that you've got in the where that money is coming from and where it's going. So when you look at that, I mean, you know, I come from a private business world, right? And if you make, you know, if your profit margin is on a Coca-Cola is 90%, which it pretty much is if you sell fountain drinks, right? And then your profit margin on gourmet latte coffee is 10%, right? You're always going to try to sell the cups, right? So just from a practical standpoint, now let's throw into that privatization. Privatization, which even from a conservative standpoint, at some point all the conservatives thought, oh, privatization is a great idea because the government never does anything well, so we're going to privatize it. We're going to put it in the hands of private entrepreneurs who know how to run a business, okay? Here's the problem. The big problem is in private industry, you always have a customer satisfaction issue, right? I mean, I was in the restaurant business. If somebody walks out of that restaurant and didn't have a good meal, they're never coming back.
Right. And they're going to tell other people about it.
And they're going to tell other people. And these days they're going to post it, right? Privatization of foster care, and just like privatization of prisons, privatization of the military, privatization of a jillion other things that we're doing these days, there's no feedback. Right. There's no customer satisfaction level. Yeah. I says, you know, you go to Home Depot now, and as you walk out the door, they hand you the receipt, and they go, there's a survey on the bottom of this receipt. I mean, everybody who's in private industry wants to know how their customers are doing.
Right.
No such thing. You know, and when I went down and I talked to our General Assembly on February the 26th, I says, I don't care how many commissions and boards and oversight committees you have, if you don't listen to the people, you don't know how it's doing.
Right.
I says, none of them. I said, you've had second look commissions, you've got the Commission on Children and Youth, you've got your oversight committee. None of you are inviting families in to say, what can we do better?
Yeah.
What could we do better?
Yeah. And what I've seen whenever there's testimony, they have 10, 15 minutes for this person from this agency, somebody else, another 10, 15 minutes. The public, you get 2.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, or maybe
3.
3. But I mean, the last time when I was down there in March, they had 4 separate items. And I said, oh, okay, I'll testify on all 4 of them. 3 minutes each, because it was 3 minutes this time. Right now it's been cut back to 2 on some of the stuff. But that's 12 minutes. I'm going to build my case here, start it here. Yeah, and, I mean, this is what I was going to do. And then at the end, they said, you get 1 for all of them. And I didn't know that until after I was done with my first one. And so I felt like, you know, you let these people that are down here trying to make their sales pitch as to why you should be, and what a great job they're doing, and you need to just renew our contract and give us more money and everything else. They get to hog the entire thing. And the first time I testified against CPS in July 12th of 2016, I think it was, you know, I went down there, I left the house like 4 in the morning, drove down there. I didn't get to testify till 6:30 at night, something like that.
Wow.
But everybody else did, and then all of these all of these people that have solutions to the problems, you know, they're already gone. They're back home eating their nice meal and thinking maybe we've got the contract, and then somebody who's been affected by it.
That's why we have to put it out there. That's why we've got to do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's just no other way around it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I tell people, I'm like, you've got to have your story down. You've got to have a 3-minute presentation,
Right.
a 10-minute presentation, and then you can have a 30-minute presentation.
Yeah.
I said, and if you have a 30-minute presentation, it needs to be something that's an exchange, because people can't listen to your voice for 30 minutes.
Right.
You know,
Right. Exactly.
you need to have a question answer. But anyway, so the Title 4B and the Title 4E, it is so important for people to understand that. And because they are going to have to start talking to their state legislators on their own. And I will tell you, y'all probably have some pretty good state legislators. I've been down there talking to them, and you may only get 10 minutes in a presentation,
Right.
but you can set a 30-minute meeting in their office, you know. And or even if you only get 15 minutes in their office, if you get your presentation down and they start hearing, because I say your state legislators, they have the laws and they have people. And they really want to know how their laws are affecting the people that vote for them.
Right.
And more than anybody else, at the state level, is so important. And I know there are probably people out there who don't even know who their state senator is and don't even know who their state rep is. And these days, with the internet, it is so easy to find out.
And I think what's important is that, so we're both red people, conservative, but that doesn't mean you don't go speak to your Democratic representative or senator. You know, because this is an issue that affects people regardless of political affiliation, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of age, regardless of, you name it.
Right.
It is.
And they're starting to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of my favorite state people are Democrats. I mean, and they're just very compassionate people.
Yeah.
And they understand the problem, and, you know, and I take it to them and they listen. So.
Yeah.